I remember loving Derby when I first joined because it was the first time in my life where I saw that you could not be a size 4 or a size 6 or a size 0. Um, that if you were a bigger person, you were celebrated.
Yeah,
And when it came to you, I felt like there was a double standard.
correct.
Um, I I heard people complain about your size. I said earlier, I loved when you were on my team. I hated it when you were not on my team. A lot of that was because it's like you're a force to be reckoned with on the track. And when you're a jammer, you don't want somebody your size. But I mean, at the same time, we it was a godsend for our team. Um, how do you think? Because when I think about it, I think about how there are so many times that when we talk about Black women in particular, um, people seem to forget that most Black women don't fit the stereotypical, like what a white woman looks like.
Correct.
Um, you shouldn't be a size 0 or a size 4 or a size, good Lord, I would think you would look emaciated as a size 10, a size 12. Like, I don't know what size you are, but you're not going to be that person. But yet, here we are, if we're celebrating the size of a white woman who has size in Derby, why was there an issue? And did people even put two and two together that there is a double standard when it comes to a Black woman skating?
I'd like to answer that first. With my first encounter, it was with me being called for a certain hit. I remember going to my locker room. Everyone else had already left, and then another ref came in, and they can just tell like how upset I was and how I was really trying to just figure out and process what was happening. Now, I know I'm the biggest one, I'm the strongest one, so I'm But I had a ref pull me to the side and say, listen, Foxxi, I'm going to tell you something that's going to help you if you decide to stick with this. When it's all said and done, you don't look like everybody else, and that's a problem. And so I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you're not the same size as everyone else on the track. You don't look like everyone else, and you stick out. And so he says that and then he proceeds to tell me that anything that I do, seeing as I'm bigger than everybody else, anything that I do is going to look 10 times worse than what it actually is. And he tells me that, and then he just walks out. And I'm left with, let's say that I do want to change, right? Let's say, okay, well, in order for me to be successful, I would be like the rest of my teammates. There's no way that can happen. First of all, I'm not about to get all tatted up, okay? I'm not about to drop 100 and something pounds. And when it's all said and done, I'm a Black woman. I cannot be white if I wanted to. I love my skin. I love what I represent. And to be told that no matter how I practice, no matter how I do this, no matter how much time that I commit to this sport, I will still endure this fight because I don't look like everybody else on the track. And that has stuck with me, that has haunted me. I'm not upset with the person who told me that, because if anything, it kind of lets me in on some of the biases that roller derby possess, So to give me that type of information, I could either kind of get upset at it, which I did at first, or I could just take it for what it is and move forward. Because like at that point, I was ready to just give up, And so that's at the beginning, at the beginning of my derby career. And here we are, that was what, 2012, 14. And here we are, last season, or what is it, 2020 or 2019, and I'm still experiencing the same thing. Like Singh mentioned, she hit it on the head, and this is something that I've been saying for years. I feel like if you are a bigger skater, and if you are a Black woman, right, and if you go in for a hit, I feel like the optics of it is, like this poor damsel in distress, like, how dare you hit this white, petite skater, how dare you? And then you are left standing there, and instead of celebrating, like, hey, I just landed a solid hit, or hey, I just created a huge hole for my jammer. As a Black woman, the optics of it is now I'm the big angry Black woman.
Right.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but during some of my home games, if I lay someone completely out, you'll see me reach my hand out to them to help them up. And I only do that for the optics of the fans. I don't, because I feel like it's something that's like ingrained in certain people. It's like, how dare you, use the skills that you were taught to, have one up against this skater that you just laid out. You know what I mean? And it's just this poor little frail white woman that I'm standing over, and it looks like I'm just this terrible person. When in reality, the person who I just laid out is one of the best jammers in the league.
Right.
And they don't see that, and it's like, they're faster than me. They're more agile, like they can juke around me, and that's their advantage, and they are using it. My advantage is my size and my strength. Yep. And it's like I'm constantly being told not to use it. I even had a ref tell me, I had laid someone out really good during a scrimmage. It was all legal. The person got mad, went to kick me. I stopped the whole play. I said, hey. And a ref approaches me, and she could see how upset I was, and she could see how the other person basically had their tail tucked in between their legs. But her first comment that came out of her mouth was, "But you hit her hard." Like, I wanted to just skate off.
Yeah.
It's like, if I didn't see and if I didn't move in time, I would have been injured. And it would have been okay based off of what came out of their mouth, which was, you kind of hit her hard. And I get stuck with that a lot, because in the rule book, it does not say that you have to go 70%, you have to go 50%. It doesn't say that you have to hit someone with a certain amount of speed or strength. Like, I feel like if you are a bigger skater, and definitely a person of color, you are definitely handed two rule books. If you want to play, then you will abide by both of them. You know what I mean? And it's like, so the rest of my teammates, they're having to deal with just one set of rules, while I have two. And that is unacceptable.
Agreed. And I guess my next question is the $1 million question. How do we fix it?
So I have pondered on that for the longest. When I leave a scrimmage and I notice that certain things are happening, and I ask myself, what would be a solution? Mm-hmm. And the only thing that I can ask is, like, if you see certain things happening, speak up. Like, I've had teammates, I've had league mates on the opposite team see things that has happened to me or other people of color in our league, and they will reach out to me afterwards via Facebook Messenger, or they'll text me, or they'll tell me at the next practice, hey, I saw that. It just wasn't cool. And you know what? I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I feel like if you see something, and if you do not speak up right then and there, then you are just as bad as the person that's committing the whole offense in the first place. So I feel like in order to correct this, I feel like people need to start speaking out, because I will continue to speak out.
Yep.
I do not care if I'm labeled as hard to work with, as I'm labeled as, I'm always filing a grievance. I will do so until the issue is fixed. I will do so until I am finally welcomed 100%. And I feel like in order to accomplish that, I feel like other league mates, your teammates, if you see something, speak up, file a grievance. Speak up and let it be known that it's not okay, that you witnessed it, and use your voice.